Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Class. My name is Shantanu Prakash, and today we have a very special guest, Arjun Bajaj, the CEO and founder of Daiwa. And for those who didn't know, Daiwa is actually a homegrown television brand that is challenging and taking on the likes of the big names in television, Sony, LG, and so on. Welcome, Arjun.
Thank you, Mr. Chandni.
So, Arjun, firstly, you're young, you're just 24 years old.
Yes.
And you've got a big mission. You actually want to take Prime Minister Modi's Make in India to its final conclusion.
Absolutely.
And you've decided to enter the television market and go head to head, selling online with your brands Daiwa and Shinko.
Yes.
So, tell me the story of how did all this happen?
Okay, so this happened 3 years ago when I joined my family business. And so that's where, Videotex is the parent company where we are an ODM, where we manufacture televisions for many international brands as well as some renowned Indian brands. And when I joined the company, I saw that we have everything to, to actually make a successful product, right from the designing to the manufacturing to the supply chain, everything was there in-house. So that's where I realized, and I spoke to my father that if he could support me, where I could launch my own brand. And so that's where the journey of Daiwa began. And at that time, online was becoming the new talk of the town. And so that's where I wanted to experiment, and I launched Daiwa online. And initially we just started off with, I only asked him to give me 50 units so that I could sell it in the first month or first 2 months. And he said, okay, take 50 units, no problem. But the kind of response we got, I sold 50 units in just 1 day.
Wow.
With that kind of response. And in the first month, we ended up selling around 500 to 600 units. And that was the time where I didn't look back, and I just
And now I believe that you're looking at almost doubling your revenues from last year 200 crores to this year almost 400 crores.
That's right.
And that's a fantastic success.
Yes.
So what do you think? What is it about your television that attracts consumers?
It's actually the kind of designs we have, right? We are not buying it from the neighboring countries or stealing their designs or something like that. No, we are designing everything right from start. So we have a 35-year experience in manufacturing TVs now. So we understand what an Indian consumer needs, right from the kind of picture quality, the sound quality. And now smart is becoming more popular, and the future is smart TVs. So we really focus towards making the picture and sound perfect, where most of the brands lack. They are actually just sourcing it from different companies, and they don't understand that what is it that the consumer actually needs. You're actually giving them, it's not a mobile phone that people would change it more frequently. You come back after a long day and then you just want to relax, and you want to have you want to watch your favorite maybe TV show. You should have a perfect picture quality, and you should have a theater experience when it comes towards sound and the power conditions of India, right? You know how the power conditions of India are, and our TVs are actually designed to sustain those power conditions. So those are certain factors where we look at when designing the products and manufacturing it. So that makes us very different.
So Arjun, that's really an interesting point.
Yes.
So you take a technology where millions, or rather hundreds of millions of products have been sold all over the world.
That's right.
But you try to identify that India is different.
Yes.
India has got very unique power conditions.
Yes.
And you were telling me that Indians focus so much on affordability.
That's right.
And that's where you feel you get a window that you can compete against the big guys?
Absolutely. So, see, it's not easy to compete with the big players in the market, and where these guys are sitting since so many years now. And so the major difference that comes is when, most of these brands, the TVs are coming from China, being the largest manufacturing hub of the world, right? Where most of the products are made in China itself. But China is supplying globally, right? So they have a standard product. They are not just focusing on every market. They have to supply globally. But the difference where Daiwa plays is that we are actually focusing towards the Indian market only.
Sure.
right? Which is why our products are more what do you call it? Have a better quality and are more successful and the in the Indian market. And this is not, I'm not just saying this. This is the feedback which we have actually received from our customers. And because I read the reviews personally myself, that's the first thing I do in the morning. When I wake up, I pick up the phone. I don't go through the news or my social media. No, first I check the reviews which are coming in my TVs, be it on social media in our page or portals like Amazon and
So
Flipkart.
far, good reviews so
Yes,
far?
yes, we have good reviews, and if there is a negative review, we immediately make sure that the customer is satisfied. We give them a proper resolution. We have engineers who go to the houses, we contact the customers, and we give them an instant solution.
So Arjun, one of the interesting things about your company
Yes.
and an interesting trend that we are seeing is that a lot of small and medium enterprises are actually marshalling sort of global resources. So I believe that you opened an R&D center in Shenzhen.
Yes.
You didn't open in Bangalore,
Yes.
where the rest of the world is opening R&D in Bangalore.
That's right.
So what made you think about going to Shenzhen?
See,
Because China is your biggest competitor. Is that
Yes.
the reason you are in the heart of where the Chinese minds are operating?
see, so the R&D center which is there in Shenzhen was actually made in 2008. That was 8 years before I actually came into the company. So that was actually made because that time Indian manufacturing was not that strong, right? And most of the what do you call it, sources and most of the parts are still coming from China, where India doesn't have that capability to produce, and that kind of support is not there, where companies would start manufacturing those components. So that, which is why certain components are actually coming from China but are designed for the Indian market. So that's why the R&D was made in China, and now we also have an R&D in Greater Noida.
Okay.
Yes, in the same plant we have our own R&D in India as well. So where the R&D team from India and the R&D team from China are working together.
So I believe that you guys work together, and you were telling me that you guys also play basketball in the evening together.
Yes, we do that.
So you think there is a good camaraderie between India and Chinese, because it's a controversial topic, right?
Yeah.
With the people are a little bit scared about Chinese technology coming in,
Yes.
and the US and China are having a full-blown trade war right now.
That's right.
With this whole thing about the 5G and telecom.
Yeah.
Now that the televisions are also sort of becoming very smart, and probably you can do telephone calls from the smartphone, you can do a whole bunch of things. There's not much difference between a mobile phone and a smart television. So do you see any concerns around security, or televisions eavesdropping on your bedroom conversations? You heard about all this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I'll be very honest. So a smart TV actually works very differently from a smartphone.
Sure, tell us about that.
Yeah. So a smartphone is very private. You have your messages, you have your WhatsApp, you have your social media. You don't want to open it in the room where your TV is there. You don't want to open your Facebook. You don't want to open your mails.
So there is a Facebook app on
There
the
is,
television.
it's there, but we have researched where people don't want to actually open the Facebook app. Like, okay, maybe the wife is sitting next to me and the husband doesn't want to open it,
Sure.
and when friends are sitting around, they don't want to open their Facebook app. So that is where we've noticed that those apps, those social media apps, and those kind of teleconferencing apps, people don't want to actually use it on the smart TV, and which is where smart TV actually plays a role when we talk about content.
Sure.
Smart TV is actually being consumed for that. Say, for example, your content from Hotstar, from Amazon, from Netflix, from Z5. This is where the smart TV is being utilized, and that is the future, where these OTT platforms are coming up with really great content. And that's what a customer wants to do. If they're watching, say, for example, they're commuting and they're watching their favorite show on the TV, on their mobile phone. So they want to resume the same program on their TV when they come back at home. So that's what the kind of functionality the smart TV is giving. So a smart TV would still be looked as if it's a TV, where the picture and sound should be perfect, but the smartness comes with the content, the kind of content the OTT apps are giving. So that's what the smart TV is actually being consumed for, and that's where we are working
So Arjuna,
aggressively.
a lot of young people today
Yeah.
of your age who come back from the benefit of a foreign education.
Yeah,
They come and start services business in India,
that's right.
whether it is food tech or something in education, fashion, and so on. You, because of your family background, went into hardcore manufacturing,
Yes.
and there is this big program of Make in India from the government. What are the challenges that you see between what is advertised as India is a great place to manufacture and what is the reality?
Okay. So Make in India, it's a great concept, right? And I think we have been contributing towards Make in India since 1984, when that initiative was not even taken. But there are major challenges. Like, I can talk about the TV industry in particular, where so 70% of the value of the TV comes from the open cell, which is the screen, right? But that is not made in India. That is actually coming from other countries. So that is actually the biggest challenge for the TV industry. And in fact, even for mobile phones, for example, that open cell is not made in India and is actually coming from other countries, which uh, is a big challenge, to be very frank, because 70% of the value not being manufactured here is a great setback.
So apart from Make in India,
Yeah.
the other big initiative of the government has been GST.
Yes.
Much appreciated, much criticized.
Yes.
How is that playing out in the television industry?
Okay, GST has actually made life quite easy from the previous tax system, but initially, yes, it was quite challenging, and later on, to some extent, it is very good, but there are still certain aspects which should be revised, right? And after GST, we have noticed that the unorganized sector has actually become quite big.
That hang on for a second.
Yes.
Are you saying that after GST, the unorganized sector has increased?
Yes.
Because the whole thesis of GST was to formalize
Yes.
the unorganized sector.
That's right.
How did that happen?
See, there are a lot of loopholes which are still there in the system, which should be there, which the government should take some practices towards fixing it. And the other thing is, GST has actually made certain products more expensive. That's what I would be talking about. That, say, India still is the, what do you call it, largest contributor towards 32 inches TV. Consumer still demands for a 32-inch TV, and 65% of the market is still 32-inch TV. And a big thank you to the government that they listened to the complete association and decided to bring the GST from 28% to 18% till the 32-inch size TVs. But that has actually led to a big gap between 32 and the bigger size screens. So, and so now the big size screens are considered to be as a luxury product, whereas TV is now not a luxury product but more of a commodity and more of a need for every consumer, right? You have one TV in the house, but you want a second TV for your living room or for your guest room or for your kids room. So that's actually become more of a need, and that's where the government should play a role, that they should actually have the same what do you call it, GST for every product and not just change as per the size. Every size should have either 18% or maybe even below that, if that works out.
Sure, that would be your wish list.
That would be my wish. That would be the biggest wish list. And the open cell duty, because it's not manufactured in India, there should be no duty on open cell when it's being imported from.
But I believe that one of the reasons why open cell is not manufactured is the huge capital investment
That's right.
that's required to do
That's
it.
right.
But do you think somebody someday will actually take that initiative of setting up a line, even if it costs 50-60,000 crores to set up in India?
I think with the help of government that should be possible, and that's where big companies who are actually supplying from other countries and globally, they should actually what do you call it, focus towards having one line at least for the open cell.
So with the
manufacturing
population
in
of
India.
1.2 billion,
Yes.
India is a big enough market
Yes.
to support some of these large ticket initiatives.
Absolutely. If this is the kind of initiative they should take in this country, where the population is so big and where the volumes and business can be actually very good.
So Daiwa is a young brand.
Yes.
Right? It was probably launched like a year back.
Oh, so it's been 2.5 years now.
2.5 years, still a young brand.
Yes.
Right? And the brand is growing.
That's right.
But if you look back in history, you see a lot of Indian brands that tried to compete with the global ones
Yeah.
actually ended up either imploding or folding up.
Yeah.
So what gives you the confidence that Daiwa and Shinko will actually not meet the same fate?
Okay, that's actually a very great question. So the Indian brands that became very big, firstly, it was amazing to see those Indian brands actually competing with those international brands and doing so well. But the major setback I think that happened was when brands with, like great success, they are still dependent on other countries for giving them the product. I think that was the biggest setback for some of the brands, uh, which is why I feel when the brand is becoming big, they should actually start investing towards designing and developing their own products and understand what their customer requirements are and actually try to, segregate those, the kind of features maybe a customer is asking for, and actually understand their consumer need and then start designing and manufacturing the product themselves, or partnering with a company where their designs can actually be made instead of being dependent on other countries for
So
that.
do you think it is just a fantasy that one day an Indian brand in consumer appliances can actually become global?
Well, it's I think that is very much possible.
So it's not
If
a fantasy, it can
it's
happen.
not, it can happen.
So Daiwa can be sold in Germany, for example.
Of course, why not? If that's possible, we'll definitely do. But right now, our major focus is towards making this brand big in India.
And what are the future plans? Where do you go from 400 crores?
So from that, after that, we are eyeing a turnover of 1,000 crores once we achieve the 400 CR revenue, and we would be entering other categories as well, and not just ANTVs.
And what would those categories be?
We would eye the audio segment and the appliances segment. We've actually launched washing machines last year. Yes, and we're actually we're doing quite well, and we are going to go aggressive in the appliances also next year.
So, Arjun, you got into branded televisions because your family had 30-year history in manufacturing televisions.
Yes, televisions.
Now, after 2.5 years, you're doing washing machines.
Yeah,
Tomorrow, you might do toasters.
Yeah.
Then you might do furniture.
that's right.
Okay. What is really driving you? Do you want to be a television company, or do you want to be a appliances company, or do you just want to be the Daiwa brand and you can put that brand on almost any product?
You know,
What is the common core that is underlying this diversification?
my first, what I want Daiwa to be known for is I want Daiwa to be actually known for televisions first, and because once the customer actually likes my products, I'm sure because with the demand of the customer, we launched washing machines. Right, we actually listened to them and they wanted us to bring some product, and most of the demand was coming for washing machines, which is why we launched washing machine. And once Daiwa is known for television, and when consumers have that trust in us, we want to add other categories so that actually we can have like a whole what do you call it, ecosystem in the house for products, right? So that's where we want to focus
I believe that you, for a short while, you worked with Samsung.
Yes.
And probably your inspiration to be a conglomerate where you manufacture everything from washing machine to mixer grinder to television to refrigerator. Have you been inspired by some of these big companies that have multiple products?
Actually, I was quite inspired with the working of my own company.
Okay.
Yes, because when I came, I actually didn't know that we had so many things, and my father was working so hard towards building all these things. When I came to the company, I was actually shocked to see that we have so many things here, and that's where I decided that I think we should take it forward.
So you bring youthful energy and your dad brings experience. What do you think is more important?
I think both are important.
And how exactly?
I think without experience, I don't think that anything is possible. With the experience, the responsibilities become bigger, and with experience, you can actually guide a person better. So with my father's guidance, I am actually able to perform in the company. While I've just shared my experience with you, I would like to ask you to give me some guidance about. So like so my brand actually comes from a homegrown family business, right? And so if is there some kind of guidance you can give me for a family business to actually look at maybe investments or some equity in some form?
Arjun, that's really a great question. And I feel that in a context of a country like India, I think family businesses are going to play probably the most important role in economic progress and job creation, because fundamentally, if you look at our history, we are a country that's based on family enterprise, right? But I think the challenge today is that, when you grow bigger, you go from 1,000 crores and you become $1 billion. Uh, the managerial bandwidth of the company should not be restricted to simply what is available in the family. And that is the time then you have to go out and hire professionals. And when you hire top notch professionals, you need to give them the space and the ownership to be able to take decisions. And that's where the tussle or the challenge in a family business is, because in a closely held business, equity and ownership is very concentrated.
Yes.
In public limited, professionally run companies, it's widely distributed.
Right.
So as your company grows, the family will have to at some point of time sit down and say that if we want to go to the like $1 billion, how do we make our company decision making more democratic? How do we make it a place where you can attract the best professionals from across the world to come and work for you? And I think the advantage that you have, you're young and you've got amazing education in the UK. So you've been there and you've seen how some of these businesses operate. And the fact that you're working with multinational corporations, either as their customer or designing products from them, you're also constantly learning about how multinational businesses operate today.
That's right.
And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Daiwa evolves over the next 5 years.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for the guidance.
Thank you so much, Arjun. So we just heard from Arjun, a very young entrepreneur that's taken on a huge challenge of challenging some of the largest companies in the world with his own brand of television. But he doesn't want to stop at that. He wants to get into every product category and eyeing a revenue of 1,000 crores in less than 5 years. And this is the face of really the new Indian entrepreneur that takes on all the family experience they have and then go to the next level with their own enterprises. And I think these are the kind of companies that end up creating the jobs and then the employability and making Make in India a real success story.